Hello, Bay Ridge. Welcome to another edition of After Hours. This week, I'm doing something a little different. Rather than talking about something that came out of the teaching, I wanted to take a bit of time to answer a question that I've been being asked a lot, which is why did I switch to the ESV for my teachings on Sunday morning? I had been teaching from the NIV, the 1984 edition, for my whole time as a pastor. I'd been using the NIV about first the 1978 and then the 1984 for most of my Christian life. And I've been teaching in it since 1993. So why did I make this change? Now, I do want to note that one thing that's a little bit interesting is on the back end, I actually do a lot of my study in the Greek or the Hebrew, especially when it's in the Greek. My knowledge of the Greek is a little bit better, and I look at many different English versions. So even if I'm standing up on a Sunday and using a particular one, I am actually looking at Greek and Hebrew and many different English versions. But the questions come, since I'd used the NIV for so long, why did I change over to the ESV? Well, there are really two things that prompted the change. Number one, I was really wanting to go back to using a paper Bible. I had shifted some number of years ago, quite a number of years ago, to taking an iPad up with me as I was teaching, but I really wanted to use a paper Bible. In part, that was because I want to really reinforce the real versus the digital, especially in light of kind of the challenges that are coming with technology and AI and all the cultural problems that are there. I just really kind of wanted to push back on that a little bit, but I've also just been enjoying having a paper Bible there with me for my own study. I've been doing more out of that. And then also as I'm teaching, I'm just really enjoying the use of paper books now. So that was one part of this process. And then that prompted the other thing. The problem is that the NIV was updated in 2011 and I never switched over to that. And that is because I prefer the English Standard Version over the 2011 NIV. So I've been using the 1984 for all these years. It's really kind of my heart language Bible. I've got many verses memorized in the NIV. So that was part of why I had just stuck with it for so long. But when the 2011 update of the NIV came out, I did not really like that update. They tried to go what they referred to as gender accurate. A lot of people refer to as more gender neutral, trying to, instead of using male pronouns when they think the referent is all people, or using the word man not only for a male but also for humanity in general, they wanted to try and replace those things. And that's actually okay for some things. I want to be clear, some people act as if it has no place, but it's actually okay for some things. You know, you can use brothers and sisters for the greetings that are oftentimes brothers. You have to be careful, but you can try to do that. But the problem is when you try to consistently do this across the entire Bible, it either requires kind of some clumsy usage of language, and sometimes it ends up using a third person plural pronoun like they or their or them for something that's actually a singular pronoun. And there's already enough distance, and the NIV was a little bit looser in its translation philosophy in the first place, and I just felt like this moved it too far. So for that reason, because makes it a lot more difficult to really understand what's going on in the text, and it is a little bit further removed, I really wanted to move away from that. The 1984 NIV also, and this was the problem, if they had left it available, I would probably still be using the 1984 NIV. But the problem is when the 2011 came out, they made it where you could no longer buy a paper 1984 version. Once they ran out, they were out. And you also could not even buy a digital version. So if you try to find it online, you can't really find it that way anymore. Everything is the 2011 version, which personally, I don't like that policy in the first place. I always think that shows a lack of confidence in your update, but that is what they had done. And so for that reason, I had been recommending to young guys who were asking me, you know, as they were getting ready to teach, they might be in seminary or whatever, I've been telling them for a long time I would use the ESV. Personally, The problem is I already had so many verses that were memorized. And the reason that I've liked the ESV, there's several things. Number one, it's great for study. It is faithful to the original. It's a little bit harder to read than the New International Version because it tries to stay faithful. If Paul's got longer run-on sentences, they try to just follow along with that. They try to kind of mimic Paul's writing style, or Peter's language, or Moses' language in the Old Testament. Whatever, they try to mimic that closely. And their translation philosophy there, I think, makes it a little bit better for studying and for teaching, especially than the newer 2011 NIV or like the New Living Translation. Secondly, it's really popular. So there are some other good English translations that are a little bit tighter in their translation philosophy than the NIV. For example, the Christian Standard Bible, the New American Standard Bible, are not nearly as popular as the ESV, and therefore I really wanted something that more people were likely to be carrying around. And my favorite study Bible that I've been recommending to people for a long time is in fact the ESV Study Bible. I think it is the best study Bible out there, and I encourage people to use it, and it was English Standard Version. So I had been resisting this change for a long time because I had so many verses memorized. Again, it was kind of my heart language, but I finally decided it was time, and it makes it easier for everyone to have a Bible they can actually follow me with. Because if people are coming in and they're newer believers, they can't get the Bible I was teaching out of, and I wanted to kind of bring that up in line where we could tell people this is the Bible that we're really teaching out of. And so that's why I've swapped to the ESV from the 1984 NIV. Now, I want to encourage you, if you're here and you're listening to this and you say, well, I like the New King James or I like the New American Standard, that is fine. You may have a Bible that you really, really like, but what I really want to encourage you is, as you're reading and studying, use several translations. I do this, and I would certainly recommend you to do it. Translation is a very difficult process, and it's great to see various options of what's going on there. So I would encourage you, use the English Standard Version. Also, check what the New King James Version says. It's a fine translation. Even the original King James, it's dated, but it was a fine translation. The New American Standard, the Christian Standard Bible. And you can even use the NIV 2011 and the New Living Translation, but just make sure you're checking them against others that are a little bit more close to really trying to keep in line with the original language. And I encourage you, as I just ran through a list of those, thank God that we have so many good translations that are available to us in the English-speaking world. It is a wonderful thing that we have in having all these there. And so I encourage you, take a look at many of them. I also want to encourage you, if you've fallen out of the habit of bringing a paper Bible, I encourage you to start bringing one with you. Sometimes, even as I've gone through in teaching, it's frustrating that I can't fit a full passage up on the screen. But if you've got a Bible, you've got it right there in front of you. You've got many verses around so you can see the whole context. You can also write down notes in the Bible if you want, or have a notebook that's there with you. But I encourage you, if you haven't been doing it, bring a paper Bible with you. I think that is a great way, and it'll help us as we are having to deal with this digital revolution that's around us that has good, but it also has a lot of downsides. In any event, whatever translation you prefer to use, however you're working through this, I want to encourage you, brothers and sisters, let's be devoted to God's Word together. We finished the Devoted series, but we want to let the Word of Christ dwell in us richly. We're going to be moving into the book of 1 Thessalonians now, and I want us to dive deeply into God's Word together. You will grow in your passion and your delight in God the more you are devoted to His Word. Hope this helps you understand it a little bit. If you got any questions about this, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm glad. It lets me know that people are really paying attention, in fact, when they notice things like that. So I hope you have a great week. I look forward to us gathering together this Sunday as we're going to begin our study in 1 Thessalonians. Have a great week. God bless.